What's going on, team? Proof here, and today's deck showcase video comes to you from the All Division side of Duel Masters Plays, which is the format where you can play anything released up to now, barring anything that's been restricted or banned in the format. And the deck I wanted to play is Liquid People. It kind of came about after the nerfs that took place that I talked about in my previous video, but I wanted to see how the deck would fare now post-nerf, just because those big meta decks that feature May kind of slowed down a little bit, which means that this deck might be even better and more popular than it was before. So I kind of want to see how it felt. And a lot of the key components of this deck are very similar to my new division deck, so if you want to check out the video that I'm going to pop up on the screen, go ahead and check that out. But there are two key differences that I wanted to touch on, which are, first, Gigablizzard. And Gigablizzard is a vortex evolution creature, which means that for those races you see on the screen, if you have any combination of 3 of them on the board, you can put them into a stack together and evolve Gigablizzard on top of it. And it has sympathy for them as well, so it costs 1 less for each one that's on your board. And then the media burn, when your opponent casts a spell, put a card from under Gigablizzard into your graveyard and negate the spell. Very useful against decks such as MRC or Baki, which has some big spells that might impact your board. So be able to slow those down just a little bit might help you squeeze through that door, which is very helpful. And then in addition to Gigablizzard, which kind of helps facilitate it, is Aqua Cascade, which is basically just a big wall, because if it battles, it doesn't remove the other creature, it kind of sticks on the board, but it's helpful against rush, and it's also helpful to help have a solid evolution bait on your field, because the 6,000 power means it's not easily removed by Ryusei Hold or other power-based removal. So you have a nice stable target. On the flip side, it can't attack, so it kind of just sits there. And if you have too many Aqua Guards and Cascades come together, you might have a cloggy board without much action going on. But that's the risk we're willing to take to help facilitate some of the other actions that the deck has going for it. And yeah, that's pretty much it that I wanted to talk about for the deck itself. I am going to go into some replays as I normally do, so stick around for those. Alright, so here we are with the first replay. Normally for these, I'm trying to get into the habit of showing the first 3 replays I have with the deck. However, when I was looking back through my log of replays, I saw that my first game with this ended kind of abruptly, with my opponent just kind of forfeiting when the game wasn't decided. So it did count for points, but I'm not going to showcase the whole game, so I think that's pointless. But that does give us time to really dig into these next 2 replays, and then I'm going to show the other replays down in the future. So in this first game, we have a decently solid hand. It is kind of awkward because we have Aqua Elite and Java Jack, which are cards we would rather see like in our hand, but have other cards to put into the mana to save them. So gonna have to make some key choices very early on in the game to make sure that we can make sure we keep our game plan rolling. And as for our opponent, they are presenting as MRC, so this could be legit, but it also could be a feint. So we don't want to make too many decisions too rashly until we have more information. But basically, you're gonna just be trying to get ourselves on the ground early. So I set the Aqua Elite down, and then I play Aqua Guard as mana, because it's pretty easy, and if we can follow us up, we'd be able to play Aqua Evolter on turn 2 if we drew into it, which we did. So kind of keep that option open, because then we can go Evolter into Java Jack on the Aqua Guard, for example. And our opponent did put down Hellscraper, which lends us to the fact that it likely is MRC, so we kind of wanted to keep that in mind going forward and help influence our decisions. I did put down the other Aqua Elite as mana because all versions of MRC play 2-cost discard. It just, the number that they play varies between Jenny and Ghost Touch. So I did want to play Java Jack on turn 3, so to increase my odds of doing so, I had to give up the other Aqua Elite. So that's what that was for. They play Deathgate down, they Ghost Touch like I thought they would, and so we're still able to go into Java Jack pretty free and clear. Evolve the Aqua Guard because we want to keep the pressure on our opponent and try to get them down quickly, because the longer the game goes on, then MRC just gets better and better. And we swing with the Java Jack first, because we want to play around them having a Deathgate and shields or a Hellscraper, because Deathgate can only hit untapped creatures, and then Hellscraper means that they can only hit Java Jack, but they can't get rid of the Evolter. So at least I get 2 breaks out the deal, at the very least. And I choose not to swing. Why did I choose not to swing here? I guess I was afraid of... Thinking back, I don't agree with this play. I think I played a little bit too afraid of running into a Hell Scraper. But because our opponent was going from 2 into 3, which means that they don't have a lot of plays to slow us down. So by not attacking into it means that they could give a little bit more time, because I could have got them down to 2 shields here. I think I kind of hyper fixated on this Gigablizzard angle and just didn't attack. So then they play Schoolman here, which means that they can sack itself, and then I have to I'm giving up the Vaulter. But I could have my opponent in a position to lose their last shields, and then I gave up the Gigablizzard anyway. So yeah, looking back at it now with my knowledge of the deck, I would have swung with the Vaulter and not tried to, and not been as afraid. So then go into Hoenby, bring back the Sir Virginia, and then I top deck in the Crystal Paladin. And our opponent can still get out of this by being able to have a Death Gate, because it could have went Death Gate into... Oh no, it would have been fine, because if it went Death Gate into Schoolman, then I would have just given up the Crystal Paladin. But if it was Hellscraper, then yeah, it was pretty much a free win right there. I guess I was thinking that the Hoenby went back into the graveyard for whatever reason, but we got that win. And thankfully we got there before MRC really got rolling, and we didn't even need the Gigablizzard, because going first there really helped us out. So for this replay, we're going second, but we have a very prototypical, like, ideal hand. Like, we have easy mana in the Ragnarok or the Vil, and we can go Aqua Guard, Evolter into Java Jack. And our opponent only has 7 cards in their hyperspatial zone, which means either they just forgot to add one, or they are not a big mana deck like Baki or 4-color Wilhelm, for example, and they're playing something else. So granted, we're all going second, so we get that knowledge beforehand. And by them playing Cheer, that kind of tells us that they are indeed a big mana deck. So I kind of keep this Gigablizzard option open until it's no longer viable. So them losing Ryusei Hole is pretty solid. Give up the Crystal Paladin, put down the Evolter. And then unfortunately I had to back up Cheer to get rid of my Evolter, so that kind of ruined that 1-2-3 play. Give up the Gigablizzard because it's no longer necessary. And then they play Fairy Shower. Thankfully it wasn't a Ryusei Hole, because that would have been like a huge setback being only on 3 mana, because they could have went into likely it would have went into Ryusei Kaiser, the Victorious, to slow down our mana while they get rid of our Aqua Guard or ramp up even more. So thankfully they had a little bit of a slow start. Granted they did ramp out of their mind, and we're still in danger of Ryusei Kaiser coming down, but kind of going forth with our original plan in action. So go Aqua Lead into Java Jack. I give up the Ragnarok and the My Pad just because I thought they were the least useful cards as of now. Then I pass turn, don't give them any extra cards because they ramp so crazy, let them rely on their top decks. They do go into Wilhelm. So they go into Wilhelm and get rid of my Java Jack, which ramps them up 3 cards, because Wilhelm counts every card that goes into the graveyard. So being an evolution creature counts as 2 for that. So they go right up to 12. Another Ragnarok, so it's becoming more of a liability to draw that card. And then I'm going to another Java Jack. That we kind of repeat the same play of filtering out our hand, getting it a little decent, and then passing the turn to let them rely on their top decks. Top deck number 1. Deja vu. Now this time each one ramps them up 3, so they're getting kind of close to the deck out here, but we're still not out of the woods because they haven't laid down like Wedding, which is this card here. They don't have any Ryusei Kaiser on the board. They haven't found Soul Swap, so we're not quite out of it yet. So we're still kind of just hanging on to that last piece comes down. We're trying to do what we can to fill out our board. So they Gachi Joker, win the flip, Java Jack goes to the bottom. And then that puts 2 cards in. Another Gotchi Joker. Gigablizzard goes down. So I'm down to 1 more Gigablizzard, and that's kind of what I'm playing for at this moment. But my opponent being down to low cards, they felt kind of compelled to attack. Unfortunately, they did hit Ragnarok, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, because he gets another body on the board. But importantly, I get the Gigablizzard out. By having 4 mana, I can play the Java Kid, then I can play the Gigablizzard right after that. But it kind of came a decision on what I wanted to evolve, either the 3 Java Kids or 2 Java Kids and the Aqua Guard. And I thought it was better to go the 3 Java Kids route to keep the blocker up if I needed it. Because if they top deck a Ryusei, then they can win the game on the spot, basically. And then getting Java Jack for next turn is pretty key as well. So they play the Don Don just to get rid of one of the cards underneath it, to make sure that if I ram into shields later, I will have all 3 uses of the Meteor Burn available. And I choose not to block here because I wanted to. I guess I thought it was better just to keep the blocker up in case I needed it for whatever reason, but thinking, and I guess just to see what cards will come into my hand, because maybe I could have got another Aqua Elite, for example. So I guess that's why I took it. But then I top deck it, so fortunate there. Play the mana to keep me, to have the option of going into Aqua Guard after that. Draw every Aqua Guard in the world. So here, there's 2 paths that I could have gone down. I have the option of going into Gigablizzard, into Wilhelm, and passing the turn, because I have the ability to go right into Vilvid the following turn, barring something happening. Because like Evolter, it's like set mana and then play Evolter, Flash, or play mana, play Aqua Guard, Flash, things of that nature. And our opponent is relying on their top deck to get out of this situation, while I also have 2 more uses of Gigablizzard available, which means that they can't play any of their spells. Conversely, by having that knowledge, I can swing into their shields, and if they see 1 or 2 spells, they're negated, which then kind of frees up my other creatures to try to break through. But then if it's 3 or more spells, and like the order of that they are revealed favors the opponent, then I'm kind of in a tough spot here, because they can, say if it's Soul Swap, for example, they can Soul Swap my Ragnarok into my turn, and then they'll have the ability to play their top deck regardless of what it is in that scenario. So I'm kind of at 2 roads here. I don't know which way is, like, even now, I don't know which way is best and safer, because it's like, at what point do you take your good fortune and try to cash in on it? And if I swing into Wilhelm versus going into shields, like, is that playing too safe? Is that giving my opponent just that 1 extra turn to get back into the game? Because I've had to claw myself back into the game. Now, if I don't cash in on this turn, is it too late? Or is that playing too passive? Those things you gotta have to think about as you're trying to navigate through the game after that you've already got yourself back into it. So I choose to swing shields and let my Meteor Burn carry me. So they did hit double triggers here. So both burn my Meteor Burns. Then it kind of just comes down to if any of their 2 shields that are remaining are removal or soul swap, which it wasn't, and we got there. So kind of fortunate that our opponent didn't find any of their card draw or soul swaps or things of that nature before they got to the point where they had to attack. But on the flip side, I was very close to kind of getting down a Gigablizzard myself early on, or them top decking Wilhelm back to back to be able to get them into that spot in the first place. Seemed maybe it was kind of fortuitous, because by being able to get by not being able to get Jack his protection meant that he was more vulnerable in that spot. And my first game plan was kind of like trying to build out a big board with multiple Java Jacks and trying to push that way before my opponent could deploy some of their big dangerous cards. But the back-to-back Wilhelm kind of put a damper on that. So we kind of had to adjust and adapt game plans and try to play for the Gigablizzard angle, especially once they got very low and like low on hand, low in deck, so they kind of felt forced to attack. That was basically my last remaining option. And I think I played it well. I still don't know which path is better in that end game there. Maybe as I get a little bit more experience with the deck and better feel for it, I would maybe see. I wish you could like have the ability to like see what the opponent's next card was in that situation to just kind of help justify your actions, but that's just not the case with a digital game such as this. But that'll do it for the deck showcase video. I hope you enjoyed these 2 replays. Sorry I couldn't get you the third one. I just don't have the time right now to go like play another game and provide commentary over it. But the remaining 10 replays will still be in their own separate video that you can play in the background, digest, enjoy, do all that jazz with it. But I still hope you enjoy the commentary video, and I'll catch you next time. Peace. Be easy.